In the studios this morning, the handsome and exciting Bob Hummel, who's normally a Republican, but today is a Florida trail hiker, David Waldrop, and Melissa Bruneau, who is, we're all celebrating the happy 30th birthday to the National Scenic Trail. My question is, did you bring cake? Is there any cake to be had here for this big birthday party?
We unfortunately did not.
Or are we eating trail mix? Are we munching these granola bars, staring out over the vast valleys in front of us?
No candles on the trail. There's a burn ban right now.
Yeah. Well, there is too. The red flag is up. But this is actually to celebrate the Florida Trails Association. Are you guys making some kind of event or some kind of mark this big 30th anniversary?
Well, the U.S. Forest Service did. They had a big celebration down at Big Cypress in February, and to mark the southern terminus, and they put a big placard up to mark the 30th anniversary. So that was the start of the through hiking season, and there was 30 through hikers started in February, and they just finished.
Well, I know when the hiking season is like in Ohio, but when's the hiking season in Florida is all year round, right?
It can be. The best time for the thru hikers obviously is during the winter, when it's a little bit cooler. They can start down in the south, and by the time they make it into the Panhandle, it has started to warm up, and then a lot of them continue on up to the Appalachian Trail and do that whole trail.
So is this like the interstate highway of trails? You guys walk up there and there's little signs pointing, you want to go to Tallahassee, you go this way, you want to go to Jacksonville, you go that way, you want to go to Atlanta, you just keep moving forward?
Well, the Florida National Scenic Trail is a linear trail, goes from Big Cypress down in the Everglades and goes ends at Fort Pickens National Seashore by Pensacola, and it's a 1,400-mile trail and goes through a lot of communities. It goes around Lake Okeechobee, so you can make a decision if you want to go to the East Bank or the West Bank. Then it makes a loop around Central Florida, and then merges back into Ocala and moves north, and so passes through Tallahassee and areas like that. Yes.
So, now, how much of this actually goes through metropolitan area? Does any of this go through metro area? Because at some point, it would not be surprising to me to know the government owns enough land to have a trail which is not touched by actual human beings. So does some of this go through metro area? Are you hiking on the sidewalk for a while someplace? And
definitely you are. There's, like I said, it's a 1,400-mile trail. About 900 miles of that are actually in the woods. It goes through Seminole County, so it uses a lot of their trail system, their bike trails. One of the trails it uses the Van Fleet bike trail and the Withlacoochee State Trail. So yes, it does definitely, where we get close to urban areas, it does go through areas like that.
So you hiking through East 109th Street up there or something in Atlanta? Or do you kind of take the circuitous route and go through the burbs out there?
As much as possible, we go through the outskirts. We try not to go through downtown.
I don't blame you.
Obviously, the through hikers want to have some points of supply, so we do need to get near civilization from time to time, and so that we definitely try that.
Now, in Highlands County, I take it this trail comes through Highlands County. Is that right?
It does. It starts, like I said, comes up around Lake Okeechobee and follows the Kissimmee River up through Highlands County into Polk County, and then moves over to Osceola. So
you run the easternmost edge of Highlands County. You're not near anything that's can be other than Loretta, which I'm not sure is civilization, but other than being near Loretta at some point, you really don't come near any kind of urbanized areas here.
Not really. Not until you get up to the Highway 60, where you get around River Ranch. Of course, they have a little general store and a restaurant, and a lot of the thru hikers stop there for the night. But no, definitely once you leave Okeechobee, you're on your own for a good while.
Yeah, I was gonna, that's a good, and that is a good while. I mean, is there camping provisions for camping along the trail and that kind of stuff?
Yeah, we try to have a primitive camp area every 8 to 10 miles, which is a good day's walk. For some, that they can pass through 3 different camp areas before they decide to settle down. We had a through hiker came through a couple years ago that was doing 30 miles a day.
On foot?
On foot.
And he was actually, he did the whole, what was the name?
It's the Eastern Continental Trail. He started down in Key West and traveled the Florida Trail, went up through Alabama, caught the Appalachian Trail in Georgia, ended the end of Appalachian Trail in Maine, and then he extended on. They've got they call it the International Appalachian Trail that goes all the way to Nova Scotia.
So the, you know, like when Publishers Clearinghouse or something. I mean, where do you get that kind of disposable time to, you know, I could spend the next 10 years of my life and not quite get that far. I mean,
Yeah, he took a year off to go and do that. So it was a rather interesting time, and like I said, he was moving, so we really didn't get a chance to even meet him.
like one of Harry Truman's constitutionals. It's 21 past the hour. By the way, the phone line's open at 385-9985. That's 385-WWTK. Or you can come up on the web if you'd like at www.cohanradiogroup.com. We'll take a quick commercial break and be back right after these. In the studios this morning, we have David Waldrop, we have Bob Hummel, and the beautiful and lovely Melissa Bruneau talking about the Florida Trails Association here in beautiful Highlands County. And, you know, Bob, you got to keep it down over there, bud. You're getting too boisterous over there. Now, are you an active hiker?
Yes. Oh, yeah. In fact, I'm going hiking tomorrow morning.
Well, I know you've been told to take a hike before, so you're gonna take them up on that? Is it?
Yes, I'm taking him up on it. I'm leaving from the Willingham campground on the bombing range, and going to hike half of the 16-mile circular Willingham Trail that's on the northwest corner of the bombing range, and then spend the night in a tent, and then complete the circle on Saturday. So anybody who wants to join me, why, come on out and meet me at the Recreation Building on the bombing range Friday morning at 8:45.
Now, you're gonna hike and spend the night overnight tonight? It's going to be colder than you
Friday night.
Yeah,
Friday night I'll be in a tent.
You'll be colder than you were after the last election.
No matter what the temperature is.
Yeah. Now, how do we get the name? Did Mr. Willingham donate the sand for the trail, or how does that work exactly? How do you get your name?
There's a Willingham Creek that runs into Lake Arbuckle. I believe Willingham was an early rancher. I'm not sure about that, but anyway. On the bombing range, there are at least 3 campgrounds. The bombing range has a very active recreation department.
Yes, they do.
And of course, they have their fishing tournament every year for youngsters. And then we maintain the hiking trail along the shore of the Kissimmee River. Then we also maintain another hiking trail, this one that I'm going to hike tomorrow, in the northwest corner. In fact, our chapter maintains a number of hiking trails in this area of Florida. We've been requested by different municipalities to maintain hiking trails, to even blaze the trails. In fact, David has just been requested to help blaze a trail along the side of the Peace River. And David can tell you about that.
But before we get there, you talked about maintaining the trail.
Yeah.
What does that mean? I mean, do you have to go? You have to hike it with a machete there, and lop off endangered species that are encroaching on your walking path? Or I mean, How does that work exactly?
We go around the endangered species.
Yeah, it's definitely not endangered that we work on.
So he's like a Sisyphus plant. Then you've got to make you got to step to the right.
Yes, we will go to the right of that. Yes.
Yeah, our favorite enemy is the palmetto.
They're not endangered.
No.
I didn't think so.
And I'd like to point out that in all of this maintenance that goes on the whole trail, from Big Cypress all the way to Pensacola, no taxpayer money is used. It's all volunteer work.
Well, they're all hikers, you know. I mean, and I don't know. Is there a large hiking community about, or do you have to share the trail? I mean, are there mountain bikers out there as well?
No.
You're not allowed to ride a bike on the trail?
There are some places where the trail is multi-use. That is actually how I learned about the Florida Trail, as I was, in my former life, a very active mountain biker. And I learned about it up in Croom, up in Brooksville. And that is where I learned about it, is my mountain bike on a mountain bike trail crossed a section of the Florida Trail where I saw my first backpacker. And I stopped and talked to that person and asked them what they were doing, and they explained backpacking to me and talked to me about the Florida Trail, and I thought, well, that's very interesting. And I looked it up, and I've been hooked ever since. So there are sections where the trail becomes what's called a multi-use corridor, and it does converge where you'll have sections that are hiking, equestrian, and bicycle at some points, and other sections where it's hiking only.
At some point, is it like the truck stops where you have to, all trucks have to use the right lane, and you have to get off at certain points and say, only people walking?
Yes.
Yes.
So
Yeah, we try to make it the footpath only experience. That's our goal, is to be the Florida's footpath.
now you guys are out in, I think the technical term is the boondocks out there. Do you ever come across anything interesting on the trail that you? I mean, do you have to run from the bears at all? Or?
Armadillos, wild hogs, alligators. Yeah,
Is that why you got to carry your walking stick with you? So you.
Everything has always run from me. I have never had to run from anything yet.
Yeah, the walking stick's more to get rid of those spider webs that are across the trail, and so you can, don't get those all over you.
So,
Before we go any further, Barry, I'd like David to give everybody the website.
oh, okay, yeah.
And you can learn more information about the Heartland chapter at heartland.floridatrail.org. O-R-G.
Heartland.floridatrail.org, and that takes you. Does that take you like to the middle section where we're located? And
Yeah, right. That's our chapter website. Has information about what we do, our activities, what trails we maintain in the area. Our chapter is responsible for Polk, Highlands, Hardy, and DeSoto.
I was going to ask you about that because when I hear Heartland, all of a sudden so it doesn't just go through the easternmost. Just the one trail goes to the easternmost section of Highlands. Are you guys like in league with the Highlands Hammock State Park, which has walking trails and biking trails, and are there other trails that?
We do maintain some trails in state parks and other areas. We don't do anything with Highlands Hammock. We are going to be doing some stuff with Paynes Creek Historic State Park down in Bowling Green. But we do some trails in Lake Kissimmee State Park. We have a couple of, we have the Willingham Trail at the Bombing Range. So we do have other areas. We're one of 18 chapters in the state that maintain the trails. There's about 1,800 miles of trails, including the National Scenic Trail, that the organization helps maintain.
Now you're going to be asked to blaze a trail. Does that mean that you carry your very natural woodland GPS with you and decide which way you're gonna go?
Yep, that's we're doing some scouting work right now to figure out the best possible path that's, one, easy to maintain, and two, provides a good experience for the hiker, so we're not out in the open all the time walking in the sun. We try to keep it in the natural setting, but thing about the Peace River is during certain points it floods, so we have to be mindful of not putting the trail so close to the river that it's going to be inaccessible more than it's going to be accessible.
And do you have like the regular route and the scenic route? Do you have the route that goes down by the river and the route that goes...
We'll have a couple of offshoots where you'll have areas you can walk out and look out over the river and view different areas of the river and some of the history.
Do they make improvements like putting flat rocks like stair steps for old decrepit guys like me that might slip and fall up a very few steep embankments in Florida?
Yeah, we're going to try to keep it as natural as possible without disturbing any of the area. But we'll leave that up to some of the others. We're working sort of with DEP right now, since they are the ones that own all the land along the river.
Ah, yes, government-owned land. I was going to ask you what is. So there's going to be more government-owned land that you're going to. You'll be the designated hacker to go out there and...
Well, the nice thing, any government-owned land is available for the citizens to go out and access. So,
well, in some places it isn't.
In most places.
In some places it's fenced off because they don't want those humans going in there and messing it up. Oh my gosh! But I was going to ask you about that. Does that mean that some of this traversal goes through like wetlands and that kind of stuff where you can't build anything, but you're allowed to?
It's quite possible. We do build some structures from time to time, either a footbridge or a even bigger bridge, depending on what we're trying to get over or around. We try to minimize that as much as possible. Again, we try to keep it as much of a natural experience as possible, but there are times when you just have to build something. One of the areas we go through is Boney Marsh along the river, Kissimmee River, and there are 14 boardwalks in there because it's mostly a marsh.
Yeah. Now, how far are you going to dig this trail? Is it like between two other trails, or is this going to have a terminus someplace, or where are you going to go?
We'll start in Bartow at Highway 60, and for the time being, we'll end at Fort Meade. Our goal is to go in the long run all the way down to Port Charlotte.
Now, are these basically for recreation, or is this, for when they take all of our cars away, we'll be walking on these trails instead of driving our vehicles?
Well, it's definitely recreation. It's a great form of activity and really gets you out in serene setting and get you away from the humdrum of the world, and it's just nice, calm, peaceful experience.
We're surprisingly happy people.
Yeah, well, how many guys and gals do you have in your Heartland Trails group, your Florida Trail Association group here?
We have about 230 members. In our chapter, there's about 5,000 members of the organization throughout the state. And we're definitely working on getting some better numbers. A lot of our membership is getting older. The organization was...
That happens.
Yeah, it does. The organization was founded in 1964, and the first blaze was actually done in 1966 in Ocala National Forest. And the National Scenic Trail came about in 1983, March 28th. In response to the National Trail System Act that was signed by Lyndon Johnson back in 1968. And they created the two most famous trails, I think, are the Appalachian Trail and the Pacific Crest Trail at that time, with the idea that they were wanting to look at 14 other areas, which Florida was one of those areas they wanted to look at to create a National Scenic Trail. So there's actually 11 National Scenic Trails in the nation, and we're very fortunate that Florida is one of those.
You want to get more young people involved in this, is that right?
Definitely. We're definitely reaching out as much as we can to youth organizations. The Boy Scouts are a good feed for us. We have a lot of trail projects where we can accommodate Eagle Scout projects. So it's a good fit for that. We just had a Eagle Scout build us a kiosk down at Kisso along the trail. So,
so if you want to get more kids involved, there's one question I got to ask you is, what's the reception like along the trail? I mean, can I get more than 2 bars? Do I have to hold it up like this to get my...
Depending on your provider.
Yeah.
Forestry likes AT&T.
yeah, it's actually surprisingly you do get a fairly decent amount of cell signal.
Most places
in
now,
most
it's very
places.
good.
Now there are some
Yeah,
places.
because if you want kids, that's going to be one of their big questions.
Right.
And for the rest of us, if I'm walking along the trail and I fall down and break my crown, I want to be able to call 911 and say, I'm here under a big tree. Or of course Obama can track me on my phone now, so he can, he just GPS me and find out where I'm at.
And that's actually another reason why our organization has actually trained activity leaders, and that's one of the things that we do. And we have these hikes that we actually lead. Is our activity leaders are trained in these group activities. We've got first aid training, and we have sign-in sheets and everything, so we're actually prepared should an event arise. You're in pretty good hands with the Florida Trail Association should something like that occur. We make sure that we do have cell service in an area. We've investigated the areas that we're going into before we even head out there.
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, I'm serious. That's something you want to know.
Absolutely.
Used to, you'd have to build like a signal fire,
Yes.
and rub 2 Girl Scouts together or something.
Yeah.
But all that being said, now that you have these iPads and iPhones and everything else available to you, you can carry them with you at virtually no additional cost. And if something happens, if you have a grabber or something, you can make a call.
Yep.
During spring break, each year, we usually have 1 or 2 groups of college students who come down and volunteer their time on maintenance on our trail. And our headquarters, which is in Gainesville, they designate where these college students will go, where the need is to build a bridge or do other kinds of maintenance. So we've earned a lot of friends in the college community through this activity.
Is there any maintenance that needs to be done on our trails here in Highlands County? Are there things that need to be done?
There's always, that's a full-time job basically.
Oh, yeah.
There's always things that need to be done, whether it's touching up the blazes or lopping some of the growth. Wonderful thing about Florida is we get that wonderful rainfall and things grow. So we're always having to clear the trail. It's a never-ending process.
It's a jungle out there.
David is the trail master of the trail that goes through Highlands County and on up into Polk. I'm the trail master of this Willingham Trail, which is a 16-mile circle on the bombing range.
Mm-hmm. So, now, do you guys go out en masse? Do you guys take groups of new hikers out? Is it your responsibility to say things like, those are nice boots, but in about 6 miles you're going to be complaining because you got blisters?
Yeah, we did our first Backpacker 101 course back in December, and we had about 60 people that showed up for that wanted to learn more about what gear and how to do things. And then we took a group out on their first overnight backpack trip.
So what do you tell them? What are the things that they're supposed to have? What are the things they're supposed to take?
Well, there's 10 essentials, and they're first aid kit, water, food, a light, fire, some method of starting a fire, some extra clothing in case you fall down and hurt yourself and are going to end up spending the night.
Or get wet.
So there's definitely things that you should always have with you, just
whistle.
because.
Your safety whistle. Yes, absolutely. Absolutely.
Yep. So cell phone is great, but there is no power in those trees out there. So
you bring your solar recharger.
Yes.
Disguised cleverly disguised as a key fob. Now that being said, are there things that you shouldn't bring along with you, or you find that you really don't need to bring that with?
In most places along the trail, firearms are usually illegal.
Oh, I have to carry. I'm telling you right now, I would have to bring my firearm with me, because I really have this deal with most wildlife is I don't want them coming to my house, and generally I don't go to theirs, but I would be in the middle of their house out there, and I just want to stay away from me. That's all.
They will.
I'm not going hunting.
But
They do. Yeah, it's
They
very
do.
rarely that we have any problems with animals on the trail. Usually they're more afraid of you than you are of them.
Depends on where you end up, though. I mean, when you're hiking, do you find a warren of foxes? It's like right beside the trail, and they're going like, "Hey, get out of here, man!
they run
I
right.
live here."
They run right by.
We've heard them run past at night while we're camping, but you very rarely see them.
About the time they ran by, you would hear something like this.
But they're already gone.
Yep. they're
Okay.
usually
Well,
already-
that's good. That's a good deal. We like it when they're already gone. So,
Animals are our friends.
what else besides?
The creature that I like to see on the trail is a fellow hiker.
Mm-hmm.
And I was hiking on the trail last year overnight, and I came upon a gentleman coming in the opposite direction, and he said he had started in Pensacola and he was on his way to the Big Cypress. So he was a through hiker. Well, that was a thrill for me to meet somebody who was on his through hike. So that's the creature I like to see.
Did he stop off? He stay for very long? It sounds like if he's a through hiker, he's kind of like on his way, isn't he? He's
Well,
burning daylight there.
We
bud.
stood for a few minutes and visited, and then he was on his way because he had a goal for that day, and he wanted to reach it.
Does he? When you meet somebody coming the other way, do they warn you about stuff up the track? Like there's like radar up ahead or something that you have to watch out for?
If there is
If
something.
there is something, yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
That's the nice thing about the hiking community. We all look out for each other.
If a footbridge has been knocked over or something by high water, or big damage, if there's hog damage or something like that's usually the main thing you'd hear about.
It would seem to me that you would have very little vandalism out there. I mean, number one, there's not a lot to vandalize along the trail, but that being said, that most of those people don't go out into the wooded areas so much, although you might come upon a field of crops that have been started to grow out there in the wilds where nobody else is.
Yeah, it depends. If we get near the urban areas, you start seeing a little bit more of that vandalism. We don't have a lot. We have one footbridge on one of the trails we maintain over in Auburndale that is the favorite of vandals to knock the handrails off and stuff of that nature. But you're right. We usually don't see a whole lot of that.
I mean, to get out there, that requires some effort to go out there, doesn't it? Or doesn't it? I mean,
it depends on, some of the trailheads are right off of major roads and are easily accessible. Others are a bit of a drive.
So when you show up with your backpack, do I go in my closet and get my old Boy Scout rucksack out there and carry that, or do I go down to...
You could. Obviously, you're wanting comfort and lightness, but pretty much anything is doable and usable. Some of the newer materials and things are a little bit more lightweight, water resistant, so you don't have to worry about, if you do get caught in one of the summer shower, you're not going to be sleeping in a wet sleeping bag, things of that nature. It all depends on. We've got guys that have handmade their own backpacks, and I've gone out there, just with.
Those are the real enthusiasts.
They
Yes.
are. They are.
I'd be going down to Jerry over at Boom Boom Guns and Ammo and just pick me up one that is
And that it's true. It's each individual's level of ability and level of comfort. Yeah, there's each person has to assess themselves and understand their needs and comfort.
When the cyclists come into town, they have like all these different rides. They have the 10-mile ride around Lake Jackson. They have the what they call the Century ride, the 100-mile ride that's up to Bach Tower and back. When you guys go hiking, do you say, listen, you're going to have to go on the bunny slope first. You know, we'll take you for a walk around the block and see how you do before we move on.
Yeah, we do a lot of different activities where we take people out hiking. We usually try to do anywhere from 4 to 10 miles. We try not to do any more than that. Usually around 6 or 7 is a good number. But you know, and people can pick and choose. You know, we let them know, hey, this is going to be a 7-mile hike. And if you're feeling that you're not going to be able to do a 7-mile hike, then you may want to wait until we do a 4-mile hike. You know, just to get your feet wet. And but yeah, we do hikes all the time, and we definitely gear them towards different audiences.
I was going to say, at some level, you are. A chain is only as strong as its weakest link. The hike can only go as fast as its slowest hiker, you know, and
that's why we have the sweep, and that'll be our slowest. We'll have the leader of the hike, and we'll also have the sweep, and the sweep is basically the caboose, the leader at the end, and that person's also a Florida Trail activity leader in most cases, and they simply stay with the slowest person in that hike and make sure that they complete it, or we'll also pick them up with a vehicle somewhere within that hike. We're going to make sure that everyone gets off that trail safely, regardless, and they're accommodated.
That's the person who's decided they're going to lose weight and go on a hike, and
it happens all the time. That's what we're there for.
At the end of 4 miles, they're going.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Okay.
We're very familiar with that.
Yeah.
But that's what we're there for.
We had one hike where we advertised it as a 10-mile hike, and it actually ended up being about an 11.5-mile hike. But the gentleman had a GPS, and when he reached mile 10, he sat down and said, well, you said it was a 10-mile hike, and I'm done. And so we ended up having to go pick him up in a car.
It is 10 before the hour here at TK 730 Talk Radio. We're going to take a quick commercial break and be right back. Yes, we're hearing all the trails about old Bob. Well, the trail stories about old Bob on the trail. Where's the chuck wagon? Let's go. I'm getting a call, so let's go to the phones. And thanks for waiting. Good morning. You're on the air. Good morning, sir. No, you don't want to get your feet wet. You mean locally?
The best ones are what? Travel Country and Bill Jackson's, right?
Right. Go ahead.
Well, I'm not real familiar with any outfitters down in this area per se. There are definitely some around in the area. There's a real big one over in St. Pete called Bill Jackson's. There's another one up in Altamont Springs called Travel Country.
And
REI just moved into Jacksonville. Those are all real good. I mean, not to say that you can't go down to Walmart or Sports Authority and pick up a pair of boots. The key to any pair of boots that you get, though, is to wear them for several weeks before you even set foot on the trail. You definitely want them to be broken in so that your feet are comfortable in them and you know what it's going to feel like, because as you're walking on the trail, your feet are definitely doing a lot more work than on concrete. So you know you're going to be. Yeah, they do. They have a. Yeah, REI.com is probably the biggest one that you'll find, and they have a lot of how-to videos of how to pick gear and things of that nature. But you can't, it's definitely a good thing to go to an outfitting store and let them fit you. You know, especially for your first time, it is well worth the travel time to get to an outfitter and let them actually sit down with you and talk to you about what you're looking for, and so that they can pick the best product for the area and the conditions you're going to be looking at. Right.
Hey, thanks for the call.
And how about Dick's Sporting Goods on 27 at I-4? How about that?
That's a good resource.
Now we're getting up near the end of the program because I want you to give the email, the web address again one more time.
It's heartland.floridatrail.org, O-R-G.
And if they go up there, will they have like the maps of the trails? Can they print that stuff out? And
there are some links to trail maps of the trails that we maintain, and the Florida Trail, www.floridatrail.org is the main website for the organization, and they actually sell maps of the National Scenic Trail section maps. So if you're wanting to do hike a section, you can actually buy just a map to take with you.
And when you're on there, does it give you like the stuff that you should bring? Give you some links to videos, that kind of you were just talking about?
It definitely does.
Okay, and this today, by the way, is the 30th birthday of the Florida National Scenic Trail, which is today, March 28th, 2013. And so, now are you guys going to go out and have a commemorative hike when we get done here? You're going to go take a hike and just, get commune with nature for a while?
I know Bob is.
Yep.
Yeah, he's going up there. He's the trail master, for crying out loud.
Right.
And you have to exercise your authority, say, hey, don't walk so hard. Take it easy on our trail here, pal.
Barry, before our time runs out, I want Melissa to explain something.
Yes, one of the things that we are doing now is we are beginning, I believe, literally beginning the adaptive hiking movement now in the state of Florida for the first time. We're doing that with a device known as the Trail Rider. And that comes to us from Vancouver, British Columbia. It was originally designed for mountaineering by a quadriplegic, and it's a single-wheeled, the only way to describe it really is a wilderness rickshaw. And that can be found, literally just Google the word Wildergimp, and you will see what that is all about.
Wildergimp.
Wilder, like wilderness, and gimp, gimpy, which is me.
I may have to change my handle on the web. Wildergimp.
Wildergimp.
I like that. I'm just out of time. Bob, thanks for bringing your friends with us here, David Waldrop and Melissa Bruneau. I got to get out of here, but give us the web address one more time.
It's heartland.floridatrail.org.
There you have it. Listen, I got to take a little break. Alan Archer and CBS. When we come back, we're going to talk about taxes. I know you can hardly wait. Don't go away. More cartoons to come.